Greetings, adventurers. Duuz-Diz-Din here with another chapter of Eden Zero. Now previously, while visiting Rebecca's mother, Rachel, aka Saint Fire Nox, leader of the Yukino Cosmos' division of the Interstellar Union Army, our heroes were able to actually get the path to Mother, well, at least the starting line, and their place that was supposed to be safe from any interference from the Eurasian says Galactica and the minions of Void. Their time of relaxation was interrupted by the arrival of one of Joker Helix's avatars, who momentarily froze time and assaulted Rebecca. But thankfully, she was saved by the older Professor Wise and his girlfriend Bernie. After a sit-down where the professor explained a lot of what was going on with Joker Helix, ultimately it was revealed that he was the one who created Joker Helix, with Rebecca remembering that Joker Helix was the name of the operating software Professor Wise created for the video games he would have Rebecca test out. As it turns out, what was supposed to be a simple way of entertaining people was made a little too smart and grew smarter and smarter, ultimately deciding to side with the more malicious machines out there in the galaxy, with the professor determined to stop his rogue creation. But, as if on cue, Joker Helix hacks into the systems of the Church of Saint Fire, revealing that a multitude, an army of Joker Helix's proxies have invaded the planet that should not have been found. And while the proxies have a limited range in terms of their ability to freeze time, with so many of them, this might prove deadly to the degree that not even Rebecca, with her ability to move in frozen time, can handle. How will our heroes make it through yet another member of the Eurasian Says Galactica? Join me as I find out, won't you? Alright, Eden Zero, Chapter 251, Escape from Planet Miltz. Uh-oh. I mean, I get that we gotta get out of here, but I hope nothing bad happens. I mean, one of the biggest things we were sold on when it comes to Eurasian Says Galactica is that they're all able to crush a planet by themselves. An interesting depiction of Wise and Bernie. What does it say that the older Wise is essentially depicted in a very dedicated relationship, whereas the younger Wise is constantly womanizing and perving? Maybe a showcase of how age can change a person, I guess. Alright, we pick up with the gang, viewing the image of Joker Helix on the holographic screen, when suddenly the lights go out. Connor shouts, "The power be out!" While Rachel questions, "Does anybody have a light?" Pino says, "Searchlight mode on," and her eyes start glowing, and it's kind of freaky. Just hold Pino up by her body and look around. However, Shiki's more concerned with something else, questioning, "Is the mother ether okay?" Rebecca says it's fine. It looks like it's still in there. However, suddenly, the device that was harnessing the mother ether starts to activate. It opens up, and the mother ether shines out like a beacon in the darkest night. Rachel says, "Talk about perfect timing. It's ready." Homura says, "The wave marks leading to Mother?" Connor says, "Aye, take it with ye." And should they really be just leaving Joker Helix on this planet, though? The younger Wise says, "But we have more problems. We can't contact the Eden Zero, of course," as Wise tries to access his communicator. But the professor says, "But there are machines in this room. I'm going to borrow them for a sec." And as the younger Wise looks on in shock, we see the professor activating his ether gear. That's right. Because normally his arm is gone, he wouldn't have had access to his ether gear in other universes. But this Wise, he's had it for years. Who knows how skilled with it he's become. Shiki says in shock, "Machina maker." Happy says, "You can use it too, Professor?" And Bernie questions, "I assume that means little Wisey here has the same power?" Wise is completely dead silent at hearing that nickname, while Rebecca says, "Well, they are the same person. I mean, yeah." The professor then starts to use his ether gear to rework some of the electronics in the room, saying, "I'll start by making a simplified comm network. I can use Miltz's servers to let us send and receive messages on a private channel." I wonder, does that speak more to the professor's skill, or to how much technology is in this one room? Regardless, the young Wise looks on in shock, going, "Whoa." Meanwhile, we cut over to the Eden Zero, which is docked, I think? I really don't know what that device underneath it is. I have to assume it's a docking network so they can refuel and stuff. Although on board, Sister shouts, "Hermit, what is going on?" Hermit shouts back, "I don't know. I just suddenly lost contact with Shiki's group." And while Witch is accessing the console, she says the ship systems are running normally. There is radio interference jamming our signal to the planet. Meanwhile, Valkyrie says, "We can't fix the situation if we don't know what it is." And Moscow says, "Moskoi." Suddenly, the console in front of Hermit starts to light up as the image comes into view. Hermit says, "We're back online." And suddenly the face of the older Professor Wise pops up on the screen, and both the Professor and Hermit look on in shock, shouting, "Who are you?" The younger Wise then pokes his head in front of the older one, saying, "It's complicated. It's me. It's complicated. I'll explain about him later." I'm realizing, did we never actually talk about the whole Wise comes from a different time situation? Klein questions, "Wise, is that you?" And Laguna just nonchalantly says, I did hear something about his home planet once. Got eaten by a chronophage, I think." He says that so nonchalantly. But then Klein and Laguna are shocked as they realize, as Laguna says, "Wait, is that old geezer?" And then, in a very rare moment, Laguna chokes back laughter. It is so odd to see Laguna actually start to laugh like that. Klein says as she holds back her own giggling, "No laughing, Luminaria. It isn't nice." And she chuckles, and even friggin' Jin starts to laugh. I mean, hilarious that someone could actually get older. Meanwhile, oh god, I love Hermit off in the corner just completely flabbergasted, saying to herself, "He made a comm network from scratch? Damn." To actually make Hermit taken aback. Jeez. Meanwhile, Sister in communication with them questions, "One of Void's subordinates, Joker Helix, is here on Miltz?" Valkyrie simply says, "Where is this Helix? I'll go kill him." While Sister says, "Someone's excitable." "Sister, you were the last person to be saying that to anybody." Meanwhile, in the church, Rachel says, "Yeah, about that. Even with Feather's powers, we're having a hard time pinpointing her location." Meanwhile, Feather is using her Eye of Venus, and she says, I found her." Connor questions, "You have?" But Feather doesn't say anything for a moment. And then she tells him, "Approximately 100 of her, stationed outside the temple across a radius of about 3 kilometers, were surrounded," as we see a literal army of Joker Helixes just out there in the city or floating in the sky. The professor says, "That ain't good. Her Delta time reactor can pseudo-stop time for everyone around her." Well, Rebecca questions, "And there are 100 of her?" But Shiki simply says confidently, "We'll just have to bust up every last one of them." The professor then says, "Didn't I just tell you? Rebecca is immune, but anyone else who gets close to her will be frozen in time." Wise then cocks his gun, saying, "So we don't get close." Homura then turns her sword into a bow, saying, "To be ranged combat." And Shiki, who, has he used this at any point since he first busted it out? I don't remember. I think he may have. I'm just not remembering how often he has. I don't remember. I just feel like it's been a long time since he's used his gravity cannon, because he always goes for the close range attacks. But Shiki says, "We got this," creating his little gravity spheres. Meanwhile, the professor accesses his holographic console, saying, "I suspect the Delta time reactor has a range of about 50 meters, but if one of those 100 is the real Joker Helix, that's another story." Bernie then adds, "Meaning her abilities could be more advanced than the copies." Rachel then tells him, "All right, kids, you take the Mother Ether and head back to the ship." While Rebecca questions, "What about you, Mom?" Connor tells her, "We be staying here to defend our planet. Ye youngins go find Mother." And understandably, Rebecca looks on worried, and as the others go to leave, Shiki calls back, "Thanks. We'll be back. You can count on it." Wise waves them all, saying, "And thanks for the hospitality." Homura then says, "Do not worry. We will cut down all enemy." Wise says, "We can't get close to them." Homer then adds, we will shoot them down. Meanwhile, Rachel and Connor look at their daughter with pride. Rebecca's eyes start to water with tears, and she runs into her parents' arms, giving them a great big hug. Because ultimately, while she does tend to kind of brush them off in their affection, in this moment, there's no way she couldn't show affection to her parent. As she hugs them, she says, I promise I'll be back. Connor says, we'll be waiting for you. And Rachel says, we love you, Rebecca. Oh, I swear to God, if anything happens to her parents, I will be so mad. Bernie puts on her coat, saying, we need to get back to our ship too. And the professor says, right. He then turns to Pino and says, hey, Pino, was it? He pulls out a small flash drive, looks like flash drive, jump drive, whatever you call it. In case anything happens to me, take this. Pino holds out her hand like, nah, bitch, saying, I cannot accept that. If you must tell me something, I will hear it later. I understand this is what they call a death flag. I have learned all about them. Pino has become genre savvy. Pino's like, nah. If I take that, you're definitely gonna die. Don't kill yourself off like that, old man. Love that. So that's just kind of hilarious to me. It's just like, this is a death flag. Don't do this. The professor can only smile, saying, oh, good grief, as Pino beams at him. Aw, happy little Pino face. It's gonna suck if he dies anyway, though. We then cut to outside, and while Feather, still inside, is in communication with the group, saying, I will support you from here, and point out the enemy's location. Good luck out there. It's kind of cool that they're working with Feather this time around. I never would have actually expected them to just actually work with Feather on something, but this is kind of cool. I mean, doesn't this technically mean we've all had a pretty good working relationship to some capacity with every member of the Eurasian Says Interstellar? Not so much Victory, I don't think. We've rarely interacted with Victory, but Face, Feather, Holy, Eraser. Oh right, Jaguar. I mean, technically with Nero, but not really? Yeah, Jaguar. Forgot about Jaguar. I wonder if we'll work with Jaguar in the future, because the group, yeah, that would be the only one they've never really interacted with to any real degree. Again, they're still Victory, but we kind of know Victory. Regardless, Shiki hears Feather and says thanks. Homer says to the group, these communication devices are incredible. The sound is so clear. Wise says, well, yeah, old man me made them. And Rebecca says, that's a weird flex, but okay. I love that. That's such an old saying at this point, but it's just like weird flex, but okay. Meanwhile, Feather uses her Eye of Venus. I still cannot get over how young she looks without her headgear. Like, she looks like a baby. She says, up ahead at 2 o'clock, 4 units approaching from the air. And as the 4 Joker Helix proxies go rushing in, racing behind them is Professor Wise and Bernie. As the professor says, remember kids, don't get within a 50-minute meter radius. Not 50-minute, 50-meter. Shiki prepares his gravity cannon, saying, got it. Magimech attack, gravity bullets. And he utterly decimates the avatars. Homer then uses Warrior Bade archery attack, lightning barrage, firing several arrows into 3 other Jokers. And meanwhile, Rebecca and Wise are just firing off, just Bernie rolls up next to them saying, you two are so boring. Rebecca says, shut up. Wise says, yeah, those guys are usually all about close quarters combat. Honestly, though, it is a proper setup for RPGs. You have your close range and your long range fighters. You know, with close range fighters, yeah, they're gonna call out their attacks, but when you're a long range fighter, unless it's like something special, you're not gonna call out every bullet you shoot, man. However, Wise then activates his watch, saying, but forget them, I'll show you something you can't do, old man. The professor turns to him, questioning what he's on about, and Wise pulls out Arsenal Mark II, suiting up. And the professor, just with utter magic in his eyes, says, that's so cool. I was half expecting the professor to pull out his own suit, just being like, great minds think alike. Oh, but I do love that he's just like, oh my god. Meanwhile, Bernie's just like, really? That's such a One Piece thing where the boys will be marking out over the giant robot while the girls are just like, whatever. So unfortunate. Though Rebecca says, well, they are the same person, so, same taste. True. And Wise reconfigures the Mark II's arms in a giant cannon array saying, Ignia Buster! And blasts out who knows how many of these Joker Helix avatar thingies. At this point, it's just target practice. Although, we do have to get, careful, because if any of them get too close, that's all she wrote. Oh, speaking of which, Feather, using her Eye of Venus, says, oh no, 9 o'clock, 60 meters away, she's too close. Rebecca says, I'll get her. And as one of the Joker Helixes nears, she says, I can get close to them, right? Oh, and she instantly goes into her overdrive mode, so that way Mashima can get his foot fetish in, and Rebecca goes in with a kick to the face. But she's not done yet. As she flips up off of the Joker avatar's face, she fires a barrage of bullets right into the bot, downing it instantly. And as Rebecca lands, she says, that's one down. Bernie turns to her saying, you can be pretty flashy when you want to be, and provocative too, in that outfit. Rebecca says the woman whose regular clothes are a bunny suit. Yeah, let's face it, Bernie's constantly serving up looks. Like, something about the coat with the bunny suit, like, mwah. And all the time, Shiki and Homer have just been firing off at whoever they can. Meanwhile, Happy shouts out, I see it! It's the Eden Zero! As the Zero floats overhead. But Feather calls out, no wait, there's something inside the ship. And we see behind Witch and Hermit, one of the Jokers have boarded the Eden Zero. Jeez, that's not good. How do we deal with this? Because it's so out of the way for everyone. There's nothing to stop it from just offing them right then and there. Unless one of them has some way of accelerating themselves. I mean, for androids, they'd be able to think at a different rate, maybe? I don't know. It's really hard to say how they'll counter this. Though, again, I gotta say, Pino's comment is just like, no, this is death flag. Don't do this. That still gets me. Just, man. Like, look, man, we've been through enough alternate timelines to know, don't do this. Also, Laguna, of all the things to tickle Laguna's funny bone, an older Wise. And of course, we had to get the cheesecake in with Rebecca. I mean, from the foot shots to the booty shots and all that, it's just like, that's some premium Mashima. I don't want to see Miltz get destroyed. It's just like, no, look, after knowing about everything that Rachel and Connor have been through, stop. Stop. You've screwed with their timelines enough. And again, I'm honestly really glad we're getting to have a good working relationship with Feather. It sucks that none of the others remember the good times they actually had with the crew. Because everything we went through with Holy, it sucks we don't have those memories still, at least on her part. But at the same time, she probably had a better childhood, all things considered. There's the possibility her sister's still alive. Although it would suck if we find out that Holy's sister is part of the Eurasian Says Galactica. But the drama, though. We had some good times with Eraser, too. And they were so few and far in between, though. It also kind of sucks that we don't have that either. But we got to have a good time with them nonetheless. This would also be a good time for some other member of the Eurasian Says Interstellar to pop in and lend a hand, maybe. Because this really does feel like one of those moments where some other outside force will pop in and join in the fight, you know? Ooh, the one thing I didn't think of. I know that the actual Joker Helix has the name in the Faith, but could the one on the ship be the real one? Would she even risk it, though? I also feel like, I don't know, do you think maybe we'll see Bernie unleash something that we haven't seen before? Because the fact that it's been set up that the professor has been traveling with Bernie all this time, I mean, could there be something more to her than just Cheesecake? I wouldn't put it past Mashima just to have her there for cheesecake, though. Lots of questions. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Remember to like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the ride. And until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.